You know, some stories are so dark, so twisted, you'd think they could only be fiction. But the story of Ed Gein, it's terrifyingly real. And today, we're going to step inside one of the most infamous crime scenes in American history to try and understand the mind that created such horror. So where does a story like this even begin? Well, it starts in a place you'd probably least expect, Plainfield, Wisconsin. We're talking about a quiet, unassuming little farming town right in the heart of America. The year is 1957. Just total normalcy. And then, just like that, the town's peace is completely shattered. A local woman, Bernice Warden, she owned the hardware store, just vanishes, gone. The only things left behind? A receipt from her very last sale and a horrifying trail of blood leading out the back. Turns out that last sale was to a local handyman, a guy named Ed Gein. So naturally, the police head out to his isolated farm. Now, they had absolutely no idea what they were about to walk into. We're talking a real-life house of horrors. But to really get what they found inside that house, and maybe, just maybe, why it was there, we have to go back. We have to understand the man himself.
So yeah, to get to the bottom of all those gruesome artifacts, we first have to look at the oppressive world that basically created the man.
The absolute center of Ed Gein's universe was his mother, Augusta. And listen, she wasn't just strict. She was a religious fanatic who ruled their isolated farm with an iron fist. Her whole deal, which she drilled into Ed's head every single day, was that the world outside their farm was a pit of sin, and all women, except for her, of course, were basically vessels of evil. And you can see the result right here. It's a perfect cause and effect. Her teachings literally became his reality. She says the world is evil, and boom, he lives in extreme isolation. She tells him women are sinful, and he develops this deeply warped, fearful view of pretty much half the planet. I mean, this constant barrage of negativity, it didn't build character. No way. It created a severely emotionally stunted man who was completely dependent on the one and only person he was ever allowed to trust. Okay, so for years, that was his entire world. But what happens when the very center of that world just collapses? Well, so does the mind attached to it. And in 1945, that's exactly what happens. Augusta Gein dies. For Ed, this wasn't just losing his mom. It was like his entire reality, his moral compass, the only real human connection he'd ever had. It all just vanished. He was left utterly, completely, and terrifyingly alone. And what came next? Well, it was a horrifying spiral into madness. You can see it laid out right here. The moment Augusta dies in 45, he seals her room off, like a shrine. By 47, his isolation and grief curdle into this morbid obsession, and he starts robbing graves. But that's not enough. By 1954, it escalates to murder, and it all leads up to Bernice Warden's disappearance in 1957. Which brings us right back to where we started, that fateful night in 1957. The police are on the doorstep of Gein's farmhouse, and now we're going to see what they found inside. So what was the point of all of this? What was he doing? Gein later said that after his mother died, he got obsessed with this idea of making a woman suit. Why? So he could literally become his mother. He started by digging up graves, looking for women who reminded him of her so he could use their remains for his projects. It's a mission that just completely erases the line between morbid curiosity and absolute, unthinkable horror. And what the police found inside that house, I mean, it was beyond anyone's worst nightmare. It wasn't just a home. It was a museum of the macabre, and everything was crafted from the bodies he'd stolen. They found lampshades, and they were carefully stitched together from preserved human skin. They found bowls, not ceramic bowls, bowls made from the tops of human skulls, just used for everyday stuff. They found a belt made from human nipples, all strung together like some kind of grotesque accessory. And maybe the most chilling thing of all, they found masks, actual masks, crafted from the preserved faces of the dead. He would apparently wear them around the house. So as you can imagine, this discovery turned Ed Gein into an instant, infamous household name, the Butcher of Plainfield, the Plainfield Ghoul. His crimes were so uniquely awful that they actually went on to inspire some of fiction's most terrifying killers. You know, Norman Bates from Psycho? Or Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Yep, They both have roots in this real-life story. Well, if you really break it down, the story of Ed Gein is almost like a terrifying recipe for creating a monster. You start with one oppressive, fanatical parent. You add a huge dose of extreme social and emotional isolation. Then you trigger a total collapse with a major loss, and you mix in a morbid obsession with human anatomy. What do you get? You get the House of Horrors in Plainfield. And really, it all just leaves you with this one deeply unsettling question. Was Ed Gein born evil, or was he made into a monster?